Is very pleasing to your eye. It's very, you want to touch it, you want to feel that beautiful thickness of that paint, of that texture. And he doesn't give it to you at all. He cuts it off and makes it flat and cold. Originally he has, and then he scanned it and created it, printed it. But another really important about this is he's really, the colour is obviously the most important.
Is it as much? The original was it smaller or was it really that size?
I can't say for sure. I don't know. But I'd actually say it would be enlarged because of the size of all the eyes. So they've probably just cut out from newspapers and things like that, magazines. So being that big, it's probably likely that they've been enlarged. But I can't say for sure. But yes, the colour being so important, he's actually used the highest quality he could find to print the glass, the printing process, so that the colour remains as bright and fluorescent for as long as possible. And I think that's a really key point.
And the colour, that's all part of your experience?
Yes, definitely. And what do you think it looks like? Billboardy, railway station. I see it as almost clinical in the way that it could be like a bathroom or a hospital. I don't know, but it does add something, doesn't it? It makes it a little bit more something that you've seen, something that is familiar, almost white tiling, rather than white walling that makes, you know, in the white wall space. It's almost like Jim Landy changing up that white wall aesthetic. I really like it. And another thing about these works is they're all separate works as well. They're not supposed to be seen together, they don't have to be seen together. So, and they all have really exciting names. His name is, they're really popular, these works. His name is James Angus, and he's quite a young sculptor. And obviously you can see he's working with architectural objects and function, kind of form and function and how they relate to each other. So he's gotten a pipe, an I-beam, and a bit of no touching. Sorry, that's okay. I know, they're super duper, all you want to do is touch them, and everybody, all they do is touch them.
It's paint and metal. Why can't you touch paint and metal?
Because if we let everyone touch them, people will get out of control, blah, blah, blah. We let you touch this one, you're going to want to touch the one in the next room. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting way that he's playing with objects that you might, recognise all the time. Like most people have seen this within an architectural form. We all see pipes everywhere every day. And how he's making them functionless. Basically, yeah, they're just made into these visually, he's making kind of visual tricks, jokes with them. I mean, a lot of people think this is a sound work in which you can yell in one side and the sound will be different. This one, I mean, just walking around it is a beautiful knot And this one as well, it has kind of a visual trick in the layers. Another really interesting part about it is that he still kept a little bit of the roughness. So they're not completely coloured. I mean, you see a lot of the iron there, but also the edges and the inside of the pipe is also raw, kind of that raw metal.
It's perhaps not metal, this one.
No, it's iron, that one.
Iron, but look, he's got a mash on it.
Huh?
There's a form.
Well, I mean,
There's a mash here. Look, there's a mash there.
that's a very difficult thing to say. Basically, he's putting each of these objects under immense pressure. Whether he's making each bit and then kind of welding them together, I don't know exactly how he's making them. But yeah, I mean, even if you bent it in sections, I mean, that's not an easy feat. So
This is cut with a torch, and it's
see an owl. Like, what does it kind of represent?
wisdom.
Wisdom. That's a clear one. Nighttime. They're these peaceful, sleepy, very cute, fluffy things during the day. At night, they're killers. They're hunters. They're spooky. They have this double edge to them. They can be this beautiful kind of peaceful wisdom, full of wisdom, but they're also this other kind of dangerous, spooky element to them. So we bring that straight into the space. The artist is a Danish artist, actually, and she works in America right now, and Norway. She goes between them, but she's always interested in sci-fi. So this particular work is reference to the film Blade Runner, if you guys have seen it. So in the film, it's all about, so who has seen it? A few people, vaguely, a long time ago. Basically, within the film, the human race has advanced so much that they have been able to create humans that look like humans, sound like humans, but in fact are machines. And they've done the exact same thing with animals. In fact, animals don't even exist anymore. They only have these machine animals that look and sound and feel like humans. So within the film there is an owl, and it is in fact the same type of owl. It's called an oracle owl. And in fact they're in Europe today, and they can range up to like 1 meter tall. They're ginormous, these amazing, majestic birds. And so within the film, because it is a machine, we see a machine-like owl in here. So it's two owls. Sometimes they talk together, sometimes they're in unison, but they jump, they skip. It's like something's gone wrong with the video, hasn't it? It's edited, it skips. They kind of freak out, and that's showing their mechanicalness. They're not real, they're not natural, they are a machine. the dialogue within that is also from the film, and it comes from the lead character, Rachel. So she is the character who is also a machine, and she believes that she's real. And through the film, she has to come to realization that she is in fact just an object. She is a machine, and how difficult that is. So the artist is really playing with that idea of realism versus this, what is real, what makes us real, and I mean, she loves sci-fi for that. The fact that it can place us into a completely different universe, a completely different world, but question our own ideas about how are we real, what makes us real, and all of the advances that happen in technology today and how that may affect us in the future. So I think it's really cool work as well, and the longer you stay in there, the more dialogue you can hear and really get confused by it almost. But Biennale just means literally every 2 years
There's an
there's
exhibition.
a massive exhibition in Sydney. Away from realism. So what you're portraying is nothing that is fixed with reality. Nothing that has kind of perspective or is an image of something that you know or you can relate to or even looks more real.
Opposition. Questions.
Do you guys want to come outside and have a chat about his work? It's a bit sad, a bit depressing, a bit sad. Yeah. So basically, we might just stand over this side just so people can come in and out of the space. So basically, the artist, his name is Douglas Gordon. He's also a Turner winner, but from like years and years ago. So he's super, super famous.
Where is
The wall text is just in the dark. So yes, he's worked very hard with the singer in there that you might have recognised. His name is Rufus Wainwright. Not normal chords, not progressive chords, which is a strong part of his work, but also his work is so emotional, it's so over the top and really intense. This album, this film work, goes for about an hour. It's the entire album plays, one particular album of Rufus Wainwright. This album was called All the Days and Nights, Songs for Lulu. Lulu was his mother. At the time that he was writing this album, she was dying of cancer. So you can imagine, over the top of his normal emotional work, this is like extreme emotion. So the artist was really, they had worked together before, and so really wanted to take this album to a visual level. But not only that, I think he's really making it into a performance. It's this seriously intense, personal kind of thoughts, his ideas, his emotions coming out, and it's being like theatricalized. It's a theatre in there. You've got a stage, you've got two pianos, you've got, you know, the full grand piano beautifully standing there, and you have the completely to ashes piano. So, I mean, obviously, life and death is the clear connection there. But the eye as well. The eye is extremely personal, especially that intense close-up. To see that, you'd have to be completely within someone's space, and that's what the artist is letting you do. You're entering that personal space. So it's that really interesting idea of this really theatrical open space where the music is loud and intense, like a performance, but it's also extremely personal. And I think that happens really well. And the fact that you're getting all these... Exactly right. Exactly right. So I think it's just amazing. I stand in there for hours and just get blown away by all the emotions. It's really intense. Yeah, it's like that. At what is called the Ideal Palace. It's in the southwest of France, and was built, it started being built in about 1870 by a man called Ferdinand Chauvel. He was not an architect, he never went to art school. He was in fact a local postman, and his route was about 33 kilometers a day, so quite far. And he used to carry all the letters in a mail, like a wheelbarrow almost. And one day he started to collect rocks. He saw this really beautiful rock that had not been touched by man. It was kind of just naturally unique. And he thought that was so beautiful, he couldn't just leave it there, so he collected it. Over 33 years, he collected more and more and more and more and built this palace. So, as well as the rocks that he found, he used an immense amount of reinforced concrete. So this was like one of the earliest stages of concrete. It was extremely expensive. He used about 1/3 of his wage just buying concrete for about 33 years. So, to kind of gain the scale of this, you can see there are like fully grown trees. This is a path here. There's about 3 levels. You've got the main floor in which you walk in. Up here there's like a mezzanine floor, all outdoors, in which there's stairs and kind of you can see it, like the view. And then there's also an underground level. There's not rooms per se, you couldn't necessarily live in it. It's a lot of corridors, and each of the walls are just, as you can see, just covered in detail, covered in creatures that he's created out of concrete, or these beautiful rocks that he's added on and fixed. Every little bit of it is covered. But I think the really beautiful part is that after it was finished, he actually wanted to be buried there, but the kind of French government said, well, you can't be buried just anywhere, you have to, be buried in a sacred spot in a cemetery. And so he built his own little version of it at the cemetery in which he was buried in. And now this palace is still there today. These are recent pictures, and is actually a national icon in which you can go and visit. It's just a few hours out of Lyon.
I was there.
You was there? Oh, amazing! When did you go?
20 years ago.
You don't need to hear my story then. That's so cool. Yeah. So, I mean, as you can see, people go there. It's beautiful. And what is really great, I think, is that this photographer, I'm not going to try and pronounce the name, it's super French, is really showing this work to the world. I mean, only a few people have that I have talked to have ever been there. It's amazing you've been there. It's not as well known as many other amazing places in France are. And so I think this artist taking these images, isolating them, showing the amazing detail, is really advertising the palace.
So it's concrete, right?
A lot of it is concrete, the rest of it is local.
Local rock. So basically, as the concrete's going off, he has to play with the concrete going on.
They're probably fixing it as they're going.
You know what I mean? As a material, it's not a carvable material. So
Oh, yeah.
as it's wet, he's trying.
Kind of main work, this floor work, and he's done it in several different galleries, and basically it's made out of tape, just vinyl tape, and through the process of over 3 weeks, about 10 people off and on worked pretty much full time to get it done, as you can imagine. Jim Lambie, as well as being an artist, he was also a musician when younger, and today he's actually a DJ as well. So you can instantly see that connection between his art practice and his musical connection, just by thinking about most of the colours, pop, really fluorescent colours that you see, and disco pop music as well that he was using his DJing, but also the idea of sound waves and how this work almost emulates the way that sound would be bouncing off walls, bouncing off the pillars. They start on the very edges and they slowly work their way in. There's a kind of consistent randomness that they try and achieve. So if you look at the colour pattern, there's no pattern. There is no pattern. It's just as random as it can possibly be. He has several technicians. Jim Lambie unfortunately didn't come to Sydney. He's a Scottish artist. And so he has his kind of 2IC that came. And he apparently, when deciding what colour would come next, would kind of just look at the floor. Look and look and look. And then just kind of decide. It was very kind of internal process that he kind of created this colour patterning, but obviously he's worked a lot previously with Jim Lambie and knows his kind of way of designing as well. Jim Lambie is actually a Turner winner from 2005 as well, and we see lots of Scottish artists and British artists that are Turner winners throughout the MCA as well. It's a really interesting connection that we see again and again. But also the use of this bright fluorescent colour, we see that throughout the MCA as well. Does anyone have any questions about the work?
The party members suggest there will be a little tour of the audience and sit down. To join your line, please speak in the level of the voice.
This work is by a published artist actually. His name is Herbert Cupid, and he actually came out to Sydney and did a few workshops at the beginning of the Biennale, which we're really excited. And his workshops were more to do with film media, using your phone or like some sort of portable device to make films as well. So like low-tech film, which is really exciting. But this work and the use of neons is really interesting. First of all, of course, what does it say? So, does anyone want to read it? Exactly right. So madness is like gravity, all you need is a little push. So has anyone heard this quote before? It is a slightly famous quote, slightly. No? No takers? It's actually for the Batman enthusiasts. It came from the most recent Batman film, and the Joker, played by Heath Ledger, actually says it in the film. For those of you who know the character of the Joker or the film, you know, he is on the verge of madness at every point. He's probably more in madness